Konnichiwa! What's going on, guys? It's your boy Khan, and welcome to episode 135 of Good or Garbage, the number one place where you can find out what stuff is being sold in a division on a weekly basis. And this week's episode of Good or Garbage, we have some pretty decent attachments. Some of the attachments are all right. They're maxed out in the stats that you would want them to be maxed out in. Namely critical hit damage, stuff like that. But they're, in terms of the mods, I'm not really all that impressed with the mods. There's only like one fully maxed out Firearms Mod, but then the minor or the major attribute on it, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm sure you guys can guess which one that one is. But we are up to episode 135, so I'm pretty excited about that. If you guys didn't know, Mixer, one of the other streaming platforms, is in season 2. So if you have a Mixer account, go check me out. Good or Garbage. Let's go. All right, now let's move on to the attachments for this week. At Camp Hudson this week, we have an SR7 suppressor with 19% critical hit damage, the max that it can get. And we also have 2.5% stability and 5% optimal range with a nice little 50% reduced threat. So if you made a Deadeye build and you're looking for something to slap on your sniper rifle, this could work out really, really well for you with that 19% critical hit damage. So if you need something like this, head on over to Camp Hudson and pick it up. I think I'm gonna buy one for my Deadeye build. Check it out. West 42nd Street this week has an extended magazine for sale, 118.5% mag size increase, 4% critical hit damage, and 4.9% rate of fire. So if you're looking for something like this to kind of bump you up, maybe you're doing some PvP, then this could work out for you. There are faster rates of fire, and of course there are larger magazines. But if you do not have anything better than this, that's exactly what the Good or Garbage series is all about, helping people who do not have anything better know what's out there and know to get their butt in the gear and go and get it. This week over at West 34th Street, we have a heavy magazine spring for sale with 4% critical hit damage, 3% critical hit chance, and 10.6% rate of fire. If you are looking to use this with probably Lone Star, then this would probably work out pretty well for you. If you are looking for it, over at West 34th Street. This week over in DZ5 at the vendor, we have the Omega Rifle Suppressor for sale. This one coming in with 17.5% headshot damage. The max is 18.5, so you miss out a little bit on that. But it does come with maxed out 4% critical hit damage and 3% critical hit chance. It also comes with 45% reduced threat. That could also be a bit better. So while this is not quite the god roll, it is pretty close. You're missing 1% for headshot damage, which isn't really gonna break the bank, but you know, it may be noticeable. So if you are looking for something like this and you need a nice little muzzle to fit on maybe your sniper rifle or something like that, then you can definitely head over to the vendor over in DZ5 and check it out. And while you're there, you can also check out the small grip that is also being sold with 19% critical hit damage, 4.5% optimal range, and 2.5% stability. Not bad at all if you're looking for something like this. Last week we also had a critical hit damage underbarrel, so this with some extra range would work out really, really well for your SMGs. And yeah, this little bit of stability doesn't hurt, but you know, it is what it is. If you are looking for this, then you can pick up this and the Omega Rifle Suppressor if you don't have it, over at the vendor in DC5. Now let's go take a look at this week's gear mods. At the Cavern this week, we have a performance mod being sold with 6% first aid ally heal. If you are the healer on your squad and you need to make sure that they get those heals quick and fast, then you might want to check this out and have this in your performance mod section. 6%, high as it's going to get. So if you need these, head on over to the Cavern, go pick them up. Quick look over at Camp Clinton this week. We have a electronics mod with 263 electronics and the dreadful 2% all resistance. Not a fan of all resistance. I think everybody knows that, but if you are looking for an electronics mod just to kind of tide you over and you have a ton of Phoenix credits just burning a hole through your pocket, you can head on over to Camp Clinton, check it out. Don't really recommend it, but I know some people are looking for certain things for certain builds, so if you need it, go for it. This week at Madison Stam, we have a prototype stamina mod for sale, 205 stam with 3% damage to elites. Last week we had the amazing 4% damage to elites, and if you missed out, I really feel sorry for you because I have no idea when you're going to see another 4%er. Shout outs to all of the people that were telling me that I wrote, what did I write? I think I wrote enemy armor damage instead of damage to elites. That was my bad, man. I was trying to hurry up and get everything out, and occasionally I have brain farts and I forget things and mess up, but you know, I'm glad you guys are checking for me, keeping me honest, keeping me real. So if I do make any slip ups, please remember to let me know. I will try my best to correct it, but yeah, if you missed out on it, feel bad because you only get 3 and it probably will be 3% damage to elites for a while, so get it if you didn't get the ones from last week. That's all I can say about that. And if the all resistance 2% electronics wasn't your style, how about all resistance 2% firearms with 265 firearms? At least that's better. So if you need some firearms but you don't really care about all resistance, then you can definitely go ahead and pick this up over at the Ward. I still hate all resistance. I don't even know why it's in the game, but it is, so you know, do what you will. At DZ4 this week, we have a prototype performance mod with 7.5% support station range. If you are healing your teammates, then you definitely want to pick this up. 7.5 is, I believe, the highest that this thing goes. So if you need to heal your team, it's better to have a bunch of these than not at all. Head on over to DZ4, the vendor, and check it out. It will cost you DZ credits though. This week over at West 64th Street, we have a firearms mod with 267, the maximum firearms with the staggeringly pathetic 2% all resistance. Now, while there is another mod being sold with all resistance, this one is the DZ version, so you're going to use DZ credits for this. And this one is all maxed out, so if you have the DZ credits, this is a better buy. But if you do not have the DZ credits, then going for the normal credit version with slightly less firearms could be exactly what you need. But up to you guys, you take your pick. Let me know which one you pick up. More than likely, most of you are going to probably pass on this, but if you are desperate for some firearms loving, then this is the one to go for. Now let's take a look at the 280 to 283 gear score items. At the Dark Zone gear vendor in the base of operations, there is a pretty nice PvE MP5 ST with a gear score of 280. Now this bad boy is actually rocking brutal, ferocious, and destructive. Now while this may not seem like the ultimate destructive SMG just because it's not a house, it's still got some really nice talents. Unfortunately, ferocious is in the second slot, so it's gonna be a little bit tricky to kind of get this to work. But if you do have it in your build and you can make this work out, then you may want to give it a try. If it doesn't really work for your build, you may want to pass on it, or you may want to re-roll ferocious for deadly. Either which way, you can still do it. If you do have the requirements for this to work, then I would say you may want to take off brutal and put deadly in that slot. Either which way, you can still put brutal on this, or sorry, you can still put deadly on this and make it work. With destructive having that enemy armor damage, it'll eat through PvE opponents quite quickly. PvP, this may not be the weapon for you, but for PvE, this will definitely be a very nice weapon to try out. Destructive will give you that power to eat through the enemy armor, and then with ferocious, you'll have an extra 10% damage to elites, which is really nice. And then if you have deadly on this instead of brutal, then you can you know, get that extra crit damage because you will have a good amount of crit chance baked into this weapon. So if you decide to pick this up, let me know in the comment section down below. It's a really nice weapon. If you need something like this, don't pass on it, or even just give it a try. Maybe roll something off, put something a little bit different. It'll cost you some DZ credits, so do keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think. This week at the special equipment vendor, we have a Gear Score 281 Pak-On light machine gun being sold. This one coming in with skilled, competent, and also it's coming in with Pak-On. Of course, if you are looking for this exotic weapon and you have been trying to find something with competent on it and maybe something to re-roll with skilled, then you can definitely go ahead and do that. I'm personally not a huge fan of the Pak-On, but I do know that a lot of people do like it. It used to be a staple for the LMGs back in the day. So if you're looking for a decent one, this one isn't too bad. So go ahead to the special equipment vendor this week. Check it out. Now it's time to wrap things up in the 284 plus gear score section. This week at the special equipment vendor, we have a Gear Score 285 Officer's M9A1. Now this one coming in will be having the Fierce talent on it, and Fierce gives you critical hit chance up by 5% just having it baked in. I really like to have some kind of utility on my sidearm, so if this isn't really the kind of thing that you like to have, I could totally understand. It's not really my favorite thing, but it's actually still not bad. And coming in with a Gear Score 285, that's still not too bad either. So if you're looking for a decent sidearm, one that doesn't really have that many attachment slots but still packs a pretty decent punch and then has some critical hit chance, then you can go ahead and check this one out over at the base of operations special equipment vendor. But remember, it will cost you Phoenix credits. Alright guys, that is it for this week's episode of Good or Garbage. I hope you guys found it useful and interesting. I gotta say I'm pretty disappointed that there were so many all resistance mods. I was really hoping for something a little bit better, but there were some decent attachments this week, so I can't really front on that. You know, your boy like to dip like a potato chip, get up in there and then get that supply drop, but you know that dude wasn't gonna do that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys very soon. Remember that the weekend stream has been moved to Sunday my time, Saturday evening for most of you guys in the States. So why don't you come on by, hang out, have a good time, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. I'm out. Take it easy. Peace.